Welcome to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew here on this Wednesday night. Myself, Drew Scaberg, back bringing you the news in the Wisconsin sports world. As always, look, it's been an exciting week for Wisconsin sports, I'd say, especially if you like the good sports teams, right? We had a Marquette basketball win last Saturday, right? I know, obviously, the Packer game was tough last week. We all experienced that. But hey, we got we had that win for Marquette I was talking about, and then the Bucks also follow and they win yesterday, last night, Tuesday, or whenever you're listening, right? They win Tuesday over the Magics. We'll talk the in-season tournament here in the show. And then lastly, right, we had UW Milwaukee. We had them. They beat Green Bay, the in-state rivals. They beat Jared's team, and nice win for them tonight as well. Obviously, the mid-major part there, maybe less of interest for people, and including on the show, right? But a win's a win nonetheless. And look, we'll talk through where the Bucks are again, how the in-season tournament works out. Obviously, losing Willie Adames this week for the Milwaukee Brewers. I'll talk about that impact. Obviously, from just a sports fan perspective, it just stinks, right? I mean, you lose, which this might surprise people. He's actually the second most valuable shortstop in Milwaukee Brewers franchise history in terms of wins above replacement, which, I mean, shouldn't shock you as number one, Robin Yount, but it shocks you maybe that, coming in 2021 in May, the impact Adames was able to have throughout the years. And look, it's unfortunate, but they we'll talk through kind of how that went about and now the impacts for the Brewers here moving forward. So that'll be on this show. Probably kind of steer a little bit away from football, right? I mean, I'll just touch on it briefly here to start the show, but it doesn't really make sense to recap game a week ago. So announcement wise, before we start, right at your sports crew for all of your sports related content, right? NBA, NFL power rankings out weekly. Also, a favorite NFL parlay of the week. You can see all this content again at your sports crew, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, you can find it there. So that's where we'll be. And then Journey to Million, probably we're not going to see this week. Looking at hopefully next week before we all take off for the holiday. It's going to be exciting for all of us, and I'm looking forward to that here to round out the year. So let's get in the show. We will start again with that brief football talk, right? The Packers 9-4 when they're in the historically good NFC North. The NFC North, again, including the Vikings, Packers, and Lions. I say those three teams specifically, 28-3 against against the rest of the NFL, which is crazy stats. The three losses, what was it? It was the Rams, I believe, beat the Vikings. That happened. That was that Thursday night game or something. And then we had the Buccaneers. They beat Detroit. That happened. Right, so those two games there. And then we had the Packers lose to the Eagles. So those are your three losses. And we're excluding the Bears in this stat. Look, nothing against them, but we obviously know that it just they've been in games too. They could easily be at least at 500, which is just crazy to think about. So that is that's just quite the stat, I feel, but just a testament to how good the division is. But again, playoff picture wise for Green Bay, obviously going to Seattle is a tough game. Seattle's been hot, actually. Seattle looks like they're going to probably win the NFC West. So that kind of impacts playoffs, kind of how you feel about that, because this could easily be a team you match up with, or the winner of the South is what it looks like. It would take Washington to surpass us or some other wild card team, like maybe if the Rams or the 49ers went on a little run to pass us. Everybody knows you don't want to go to Philly or Detroit, so that would be the 7 seed, depending who gets the one. right now, of course, looks like Detroit's the 1 seed, but you never know, especially in the NFL. So that's just something we'll have to monitor. But again, the Packers schedule, an unfortunate thing for the Saints, right? But just with Derek Carr going to probably be out for the year, it looks like that game against them at Green Bay should almost certainly be a win. You would like to think Packers at Lambeau too against the Bears could be another win there. So, take those 2 games right there, 11 wins. 11 wins gets you in the playoffs. I mean, that's just been how it. Obviously, mathematically, it might not. If Washington wins out or someone wins out, but right, we know 11 wins usually will get you in the playoffs. So that's just kind of the note on Green Bay. Romeo Doubs should be back this week. Kind of impacts. We'll see how Christian Watson. We've seen him getting great playing time and seen him make some impact plays over the past few weeks. But of course, with Doubs being more in the mix, that could impact him and maybe even Jaden Reed a little bit more. Which Reed already very streaky, but I just feel like that's going to be something to monitor for Green Bay, just kind of the receiving core and how that's going to be. Because I don't know, I think Seattle's defense is a little overrated in terms of the pass, how they are in terms of pass rushing and getting, secondary. So we'll see. I expect a nice game from the receivers, but we will wait Sunday night. Well, we'll get that game. So let's go over to Green Bay and talk. Not Green Bay, really. The Bucks. We'll talk about that game here. So yeah, the Bucks get the job done, 114-109. So again, they were the 1 seed. They won their pool, and then they ended up getting seeded out of the 4 teams in the East, and they were number 1. They hosted Orlando, who was wild card team 1 or the pool, the runner up or however they worded it, in the NBA Cup. I'm going to try not to say in season tournament because I know it's very important for the NBA year over year. They really wanted to give it something that gave it more value. And I think the NBA Cup's a great way to do that. But right, the quarterfinals, I do like that they have the home venue or the better seed host the game. I feel like that actually adds a bit of value here to it. But from the gameplay itself, give Orlando credit. I mean, I've had them ranked high on the power rankings because they've really done a nice job in terms of like this team's hung in there. I mean, they've had injuries and just things not go their way, and they've still managed to put wins on the board. And again, 17-10. Did I read that right? They're 17-10, but they are undefeated at home. Is what I'm reading. 10-0 at home. I guess I didn't know it was that kind of stat. For Orlando, I knew they were good at home. I didn't know they were that good. And you really give credit. Again, this team's had depth, and it's been right. It's been Franz Wagner, who now unfortunately is hurt. But then when Paulo had that good start, then he's hurt, and it's been nice for. Jalen Suggs is the guy who had a nice game there, 32 points, although 12 of 26 shooting. It's been defense, right? That's been Suggs' specialty, 4 steals, a block in there as well. But they've had guys like, former Pacers big man, Goga Batadze, a guy who you wouldn't expect to get minutes, as a starter, but 38 minutes you really wouldn't expect. Had a nice game too for them. Especially on the rebounding side, right? With the Bucks, obviously, that's not the strength of this team, but still hung in there. Those are 2 guys who I thought played nice, but couldn't get the job done. Could the Magic and really, I mean, the big reason, right? Damian Lillard closes out the game. I mean, I think having right, we know the impact of having a guy like Damian Lillard to help close out games. We saw it last year, right? You think of that game against Sacramento, especially last year with that nice game winner for him. But really, I mean, tonight was just no difference. You want sure you can give Giannis the ball at the end of the game, but you never know what you're going to get from the free throw line. 7 of 12 in this game. But you bring a guy like Damian Lillard, and you get 10 for 10 from the line, you get 8 for 15 from the field, and 28 points, 9 assists. I mean, he was phenomenal. I thought really did. Had a great game. Obviously, the turnovers in there, and you see that with Giannis still, but that's just the nature of, hey, these guys are going to have the ball in their hand majority of the time, and the turnovers will come, and that's just nature of it. I think I thought Andre Jackson only playing 8 minutes too. They really leaned on AJ Green, right? I mean, we knew AJ Green. We've seen the increase in minutes over these past few weeks. It's been a topic on this very show, and the impact of where he's been and why him over Connaughton and DeLon Wright and others. Look, Green 33 minutes in this one. The stats don't lie. He's played 33 minutes plus 13 plus minus. So we saw the Bucks outscore the Magic by 13 points, right, when he was out there and playing minutes. And you see the stat line. It seems a little bare. I mean, 9 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. Look, it's the little things. It's the things that Green does that, and you see this with Ajax too, Andre Jackson. You see, maybe not in this game. This game might be a poor example to -9, but you see the impact plays. You see the defense. You see, being in the right place, right time. You see things like that where it's going to translate to the box score in some way. Maybe not in the stats. Again, he's been. If the scoring's out there, he's been almost an empty stats guy. He shot 9 shots, 3 for 8 from 3. That was the rule needed, and I thought I really enjoyed the Bobby Portis efficiency. Right, 9 for 11, 2 for 3 from 3. Had the double. Just a nice Bobby game off the bench. I thought those were the big guys. Of course, Giannis with 37, but. A nice game, I thought, for those guys. I didn't want to touch on Taurean Prince's performance. He had a goose egg, 0 points, only 1 shot in 20 minutes. I really thought the impact of Prince would have been more. And we've really seen the inconsistencies with Gary Trent, but 24 minutes off the bench. I think we'll see, and I hope we see more from him as we get down and get through the season here, but you just see, like, obviously when he was with Toronto, there was a lot more like 20 point per game score you felt like was like gonna be how he moves up and progresses his career. But he's averaging 9 points a game so far this year. You definitely feel like there's more. There could be more potential there for him to score more and make even have a bigger impact on this offense. Obviously, with having AJ Green in the perimeter and the work he's been able to do this year might limit that, but you still have that impact guy, and it was refreshing to see this Bucks win. Again, Bucks win by 5. They're 13-11 now. Yeah, that's quite a turn. So with the Bucks win, and then Atlanta, it's pretty surprising. Atlanta beat New York tonight. The 3 beat the 2. So instead of playing the Knicks, which thank goodness you want to play Atlanta if you're Milwaukee, I feel. Although we just saw Atlanta on that back-to-back where they took care of business in Milwaukee, but you play them in a neutral site, you play them in Vegas. The winner will play either the Thunder or the winner of this Rockets-Warriors game. This Rockets-Warriors game, let me tell you, Warriors put up 37 points in the first half. Only 37 points. It was, and the Rockets only a 44 as well. I mean, very not a lot going on. So I will say we'll see how that looks. I would assume the Thunder take care of business whoever they play, but you never know. Again, professional sports. A Bucks Thunder championship would be fun. Obviously, Bucks Warriors would be fun too. Has to be the Bucks in it, right? So we'll keep that, or keep this all in mind. December 14th is the semis. The championship then would be December 17th. So that's next Tuesday would be the championship, right? And then Saturday is the semifinals. So that is the NBA Cup right now, what the game plan is for that. So that's out there. Let's go over to the world of baseball here before we round out the show. We'll start again. Willie Adames, again, the second best shortstop in Milwaukee Brewers franchise history, over 50 years of being a franchise. Yes, it's Willy Adames who is there, and the legacy he's had over the team. So kind of just through how the process works out, right? The Brewers had offered him a qualifying offer, which for those who don't know is just a 1 year, would be a 1 year, I won't say an addition to the contract, but a 1 year contract at a set rate, like 20 so million. And then what happens is if it's declined and the player signs elsewhere for excess of 50 million, the Brewers are basically compensated with a draft pick. So what we saw Willy Adames, of course, decline that. He has signed for at least $50 million, and we saw him sign for much more than that. The final number, what was it? Seven. I want to pull up the specifics on the contract since it was 182 million for 7 years. And the fun facts behind it too, right? They hired Buster Posey, former Giants catcher, hired him as their guy for baseball ops. This is the biggest deal in Giants franchise history, which kind of crazy to think about, but definitely well deserved for Adames. Kind of surprised it was a Giant. Giants always need to make the splash. They missed out on a lot of guys. I mean, they got like Matt Chapman was their runner-up to the Aaron Judge, and missing out on Ohtani and all those guys, right? So they got their guy. Obviously, you don't know how Adames is gonna a player his profile, and we knew this even when he was a Brewer, like with the strikeouts and the defense, and kind of how a player like that ages over a 7-year contract. Probably is not gonna, like, you could see in year 5 this contract even like sure, if he's great the first 3-4 years, like this, it's still probably worth it contract wise, but those last 2-3 years, you just don't know how he's gonna perform. I mean, so that's out of question for sure, but you definitely gonna be rooting for the guy, and over the years when he comes back to Milwaukee, especially first time back is gonna be a great sellout. I mean, phenomenal ovations, I'm sure, and well deserved for Adames, Brewers legend. Unfortunate, I bring up the aspects of how the Brewers, this contract was never going to happen for the Brewers, but also like. And the reason why is the financial sense, but also what I brought up just with the nature of how players age. Years 5, 6, and 7 in this contract, you just don't know, and so on. So I feel that is just keep in mind. But again, the Brewers will get a draft pick between round 1 and 2. They have a competitive balance round, and they will be getting that there. So that's kind of the logistics behind why they would proceed, offer the qualifying offer, and now just let him sign elsewhere, which is the nature of it. But now the Brewers need to pivot, right? Garrett Crochet was the rumored guy who would be a fit, and he certainly would have been a fit, right? I mean, Bryce Wilson's going to be gone. And I don't say Bryce Wilson like he was going to be a starter and such. He was bulk reliever, bullpen, but point is he's gone, right? Miller's for sure gone. Devin Williams will be. I'm naming relievers, but the reason I'm naming relievers is that those are innings that are gone, right? I mean, these are pitchers who consumed a lot of innings, if you will, and whether it's a starter, reliever, again, I mentioned Devin Williams as a guy who is most likely going to be traded. I feel like that's what they need to find next. I think as suitors, and I don't even think of these for Josh Hader, but really, like the Padres still seem like a suitor for Williams, and that trade, of course. But also you'll look at Houston and just teams that would definitely want more bullpen help, who might want to pivot to some guys. The Yankees is one too. You could see them obviously with having Weaver and the success they had this postseason, but both or just a few teams in my head that I thought of as potential fits. It's just going to depend if the Cardinals trade Ryan Helsley first, who trades their closer first, and then NL Central. But But besides that too, right? Adames leaves means what are you going to do? Are you going to move Ortiz to short? Is Sal Frelick coming from right to third? I don't think that should happen. I've been very vocal against that. You got to sign someone. Is really the route you want to go. And Alex Bregman is out in the market, but we know a potential reunion with Houston's possible, but also the dollar amount he's going to get is not going to be feasible for Milwaukee. So. I don't know. The Brewers are like, this is how every offseason goes, right? You see the big guys go and we're sitting on the sidelines. And it's just the nature of the game and the small market team. And hopefully there's moves to report on in the future other than saying, hey, we lost our guy and we got a draft pick because we lost our guy. Not a fun spot to be in, but hey, it's the nature of it. So that is all I got here on this, again, Wednesday night at Drew Sports Crew, all social media platforms. And that'll wrap it here. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.